Dear editors who ended a relationship with their best friend, what was your breaking point? My best friend and I met as entry-level employee. We both helped each other and elevated each other over the years. I stayed in corporate and middle management and made good money. He went into business for himself. His company was struggling, so he asked me for a favor to quit my job, help him build his company. He could only pay for 1/2 of what I make, but promised in success we split the profits and share credit. He made it also sound really appealing, having a best friend as a boss. On it, it'll be fun. So I did. 6 months later I landed our first $1 million client. Money rolls in, and I asked him when will I start getting a split of the profit distribution. What profit distribution? He started taking back everything we talked about. No, you heard me wrong. I never said half the profits. Supposed you're wondering, was there a written agreement? No. Yes, I'm just that stupid to trust a person I used to spend vacations together, talk to every day, and treated him like a brother. I was the idiot for being too trusting, but at the same time I could not be his friend. I left his company. That client I introduced him to took their business elsewhere when the company was in breach of their agreement. His company went bankrupt, and he got a divorce because his wife, who did the accounting, saw a receipt of his that didn't make sense. Looked it up and found out it was a Russian brothel. Yes, he's that stupid too. I went back to a corporate job with lesson learned to never do anything without formalizing it in paper. People were impressed I landed that $1 million client, so I actually came out better and was highly recruited. Yeah, a friend of mine just invested $42,000 into their friend's restaurant and now the wife keeps saying they have no money to pay her back despite selling the restaurant and buying a new business. Always get everything in writing. Okay. So your friend needs to go and take them to court. First they will need to get as much evidence as possible, even voice recordings discussing the amounts. It will take some time. It will get messy, but they need to get the money back. They probably borrowed from other people too. Who else is here wondering why their best friend left? Because they were ghosted and never got any closure. Me. One day I realized he wasn't responding to my texts anymore. We live a few cities away from each other, so sometimes we won't see each other for months. But it got longer. After I realized he was gone, I replayed all of our last moments and conversed together trying to figure out what happened. I searched up all I could find of him. And while I don't know the truth, my guess of what happened was that he had a series of major crises happen to him. Parents divorced. First unemployment after getting jobs effortless all of his life. GF of 7 years broke up with him, and maybe I didn't realize the impact it had on him. Retreading his steps. He was probably lonelier than he let on. Every time we hung out he was always upbeat and cheery. Now has just gone from my life. He stopped using social media. Even Reddit. I don't know where he lives, though some of our mutual friends tell me he's alright. When I was studying abroad, a friend of mine often came to visit while accompanying his father for chemo. That was in 2005 I think. We were so close. Then one day, he just stopped replying my texts. The last contact was when he left a birthday message on Facebook in 2014. I'm still wondering what happened to us. We live in different cities, so we usually just leave messages on FB/etc. But we were close. I added his IG account, but it wasn't approved yet. He's always on my mind every now and then. He promised me he would pay my rent with our business profits while I went out of town, but instead bought a truck with our money and told my landlord that I had the money but refused to pay. My family ended up homeless. Bro. Is he in jail? That is awful, I'm so sorry. No, I didn't have any money to fight back. I had to put everything I had into keeping my kids out of sleeping in a car. Things are better now. I always tried to keep away from corporate work, but it pays the bills. Many people seem to forget that you have to have money to legally fight for your rights. And time. Even if you're promised a fully free legal defense, that doesn't mean anything when you need all the time you have to work for the basics of survival. He married a woman whose upbringing had resulted in her being repulsed by physical contact and sex in general. To try to fill the void in his life, he made a pass at my wife. I have not talked to him since she told me what he did. Well, did he have discovered how she was while they were dating? I'd bet he did, and thought he could handle it. But after committing to spending the rest of his life with her and actually living that life, he realized it was harder than he thought and not what he actually wanted for himself. Just a guess though, I could be totally wrong. But after committing to spending the rest of his life with her, it ain't the 1950s anymore. It's not taboo to divorce. Oh, agreed. Tell that to cheaters though, who are either too proud or too pussy, but always too selfish, to just break up with someone if they are truly unhappy. Ditching me for a better something for the 100th time while I waited outside a concert with his ticket. That's so awful. I ended my friendship with a friend because she decided to go to a music festival without me despite me literally asking her if she wanted to go and her saying she didn't want to because of this. People suck. I had my ex-friend do something similar. I was home from university for the last time because my mom was moving. I was there only for a week. I asked her if she wanted to go to the bar with me on like Monday because I'd never actually been to our local bar. She gave me a bunch of excuses. I tried to convince her again on Thursday. She told me she was busy. Okay, fine. So the next night I found other girls to go with. She was there with people that weren't really friendly to me. And honestly, I wouldn't have cared. I knew she was friends with them. The lying bothered me a lot though. Whether we spoke or hung out was fully dependent on me initiating it. So when I decided to step back, we stopped talking. For some context, by the time we stopped talking, it was the end of high school and we had both become completely different from each other. So this wasn't sudden. I think I tried to hang on to the friendship simply because it was the longest one I had, which unfortunately wasn't reciprocated. I can relate. I'm not even that outgoing. But it hurts when I'm the one holding the friendship and the only one initiating a conversation. Haha. Same. Don't swipe right if you can't hold a conversation. Idiots that can't hold a conversation. What they really want is someone who will hold the entire conversation, not just your end. She helped my ex break into my email to prove I was cheating on him. Spoiler alert, I wasn't. How that is so sad. I misread your comment as how is that so bad? Plot twist, you were able to read past the typo. We dated a few times and it just never worked out. It was hard to go back to being friends after that. Yeah, I can see how that would be awkward. He ran off with my GF after swearing for weeks that he would never do such a thing. The best part was that I was best man at his wedding and he was married at the time. Honestly, looking back on it, I'm glad it happened. I got to kick two pieces of shit out of my life on the same day. I met my wife 2 years later, and I've never been happier. Edit. Holy moly, did this blow up overnight. Thanks for all the awards and such. I'm glad to have struck a chord with so many people. And thanks for all the replies and well wishes. I hope everyone gets an experience like I got, and can make lemonade out of lemons. I'm glad you had a happy ending. Thanks. I'm pretty stoked about it too. Personally, I usually get stoked for a happy ending. Get out. When my wife ran off with him. The best revenge is to let him have her. It's the old joke, my wife ran off with my best friend. I miss him terribly. Apostrophe. My wife ran off with my best friend. He's been begging me to take him back. Apostrophe. My wife ran off with my best friend. He's been begging me to take her back. Apostrophe. He had a friend that stole from me. Defended the friend instead of backing me. At that point you might as well have carried the other side when he stole it. What did he steal? If you don't mind my asking, dude stole my phone and wallet out of my locker while I was at work. It was obviously him as his key card was the only one an hour out between my times in. At my work the custodians all have master keys and can open most doors via key, bypassing the key card. I know because I also have master key, but I didn't steal your phone and wallet. That's exactly what a phone and wallet burglar would say. Well, when he started constantly bullying me, I took the hint. Yeah, that'll do it. I ended a friendship over something similar. I had a friend like this in the first 2 years of college. It's much better when there isn't someone trying to make you feel low all the time. My best friend used to be that kinda dick, and I had an hour-long conversation with him the one time. I asked him why he spoke to me the way he did sometimes, and he broke down. He admitted he'd been hating himself and had suicidal tendencies. He realized his rudeness and stopped cold turkey and is receiving help. Yeah, I never know what's going on in someone's head. I waited to see how long it would take for him to text me first. When it happens, I'll let you know. I'm doing that with all my friends right now. Noon has texted yet. Going on 6 months. They became a meth addict and blamed everyone else for their problems. I tried everything I could to help them for over a year. I ruined a lot of my own life trying to be there for them. It was a hard lesson to learn that sometimes the people that you really love and care about are beyond help. It hurts to remember the person that she used to be and admit to myself that the person I knew is gone. Same here. My best friend since elementary school fell hard into drugs and alcohol. She would embarrass me being wasted and trying to get high off stupid shit around my other friends. The final straw for me was she did drugs and drank while she was pregnant, had a baby who was developmentally delayed, and didn't take care of him properly, leaving her elderly grandpa to pick up the slack. After I cut ties with her, she ended up having another kid. She got both of them taken away. She ended up in jail a few times. Not my problem. She did drugs and drank while she was pregnant, had a baby who was developmentally delayed. My god. I feel so terrible for children who never got a full, proper shot at life because of their parents' decisions before they were even born. My wife did everything by the book when she was pregnant. Even when the doctor said a certain small amount of caffeine per day was okay, she said nope. Not even gonna flirt with it. Anything on which opinion was split, she 100% avoided to eliminate all risk. Our daughter still had serious internal birth defects. Fortunately, they were fixable with surgery and she's doing great. But my wife sometimes blames herself despite my assurances that she couldn't have been more responsible. Yeah, that's what a conscience does for you. Crazy that some have it and others lack even the bare necessity. I got sober and turned my life around. She wanted to stay in the same spot on her couch, pretend her issues didn't exist, and make someone else responsible for her sobriety. She was firmly entrenched in the belief she was a victim and couldn't comprehend being in charge of her own life. It got to the point I was having anxiety before I went to hang out with her, and I couldn't take it anymore. That is terrible. I hope she is sober now though. I hope so too. Couldn't say for sure. She had a tendency of being selfish while making me feel guilty that I was the selfish one. After spending my wedding day focused on her drama, I kept her at arm's length. When the birth of my first child was also overshadowed by her drama, I cut her loose. Gaslighting is terrible. I still worry I'm being too self-centered. That is terrible. Your special day made into someone else's drama day. She had been making new friends and forgetting I even existed. She was just accepting failure every time. She was dealt a horrible hand in life and inherited her dead mom's dilapidated hoarding house and moved in. I offered to help her to clean it countless times, but the last time I went in it looked like it needed condemning. She also dated a strung out deadbeat guy and they are so toxic together. Definitely lots of Xanax and probably heroin involved. The final straw was they bought a husky with no previous dog knowledge. Her nor her boyfriend could afford flea meds and the dog was likely anemic from the fleas. I spent my own money to help with her poor dog to clean it up. The next day her boyfriend was asking on FB where he could buy an Xbox or PC for the Lolo. I couldn't stand the thought of not coughing up the $100 to get flea meds and a flea bath for your clearly neglected dog, but they can afford Xanax and Xboxes. I blocked her on everything. We were friends for 10 years, but I couldn't watch her become such a piece of shit anymore. Did you steal the dog? Please tell me you stole her dog. Please steal the dog. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.